every small town has that house that people cross the street to avoid because people assume it's haunted or something bad happened there. There's always rumors of some kind of house like that in a small town. I had one in my small town growing up as well. Well, this movie has one for sure, and we're going to talk about it right now. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And today the movie we're going to talk about is the second Stephen King adaptation of the 70s, and that film is Salem's Lot. This movie came out November 17th, well, it aired on CBS November 17th of 1979. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes. There is a shorter version out there, the European cut, which was released theatrically over there. I think that one comes in around 2 hours, and there's different scenes, and it's a little bit more gorier. This movie had a $4 million budget, which was pretty healthy back then. Now, the genesis of this film, it actually was originally intended to be a theatrical release. George Romero was approached to direct the theatrical version. But at that same time in 79, John Badham was directing a version of Dracula. And the studio decided not to do a theatrical version, and CBS decided to make a miniseries out of it. Well, with that, George Romero stepped away from it, and Tobe Hooper came on. And Tobe Hooper, obviously, he got the job coming off of Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 74. But right before this, in 76, he'd done a film called Eaten Alive. And actually, he's uncredited on a film called The Dark. I've never seen it. But if you look at his list of credits, it's listed as one of his credits. And then right after this, he went on to do The Funhouse in 81, which is a pretty cool little horror film. If you've never seen that, check that one out. Now, in this film, they brought in David Soul to play Ben Mears. David Soul was famous for Starsky and Hutch back then, and plus he did Magnum Force with Clint Eastwood as one of the Dirty Harry films. James Mason is in this film as Straker. Lance Kerwin's in here as Mark. Bonnie Bedelia is in here as Susan. This is her first Stephen King adaptation out of two, because obviously she went on to do Needful Things later on, and she was in Die Hard, of course. Ed Flanders is in here as Dr. Bill Norton. He is Susan's father. And the great character actor Jeffrey Lewis is in this film as well as Mike. And also Fred Willard's in this film, too, as the real estate agent of the town. And basically this film is Ben Mears is a novelist, and he returns to his hometown of Salem's Lot, Maine. He has strong visions of this Marsden house that he remembers from a kid, and he wants to write a book about it. So his plan is to go back to Salem's Lot, rent this house out, and write a book about it. And the Marsden house is definitely the haunted house of this town, the house that nobody really wants to go to. It's been vacant for years, and a lot of bad things that happen there. That's what they say during the film. Children disappeared. Marsden, the gentleman who built the house, had done horrible things, they say. And when he gets to town, he checks in with Larry Crockett, Fred Willard's character, to see if it's available, and it's not. Somebody had just rented it out. And as Straker and his partner, Barlow, who's about to open up an antique store in Salem's Lot. And this is the funny thing about this. I'm sure in the book it's different. I never read the book. I haven't. I've never read the book, so I can't go off the book. I know they made some changes with the TV miniseries from 79. Mainly Barlow himself, the vampire. In this movie, in this version, he's more of a Nosferatu creature. In the book, he's more of like a Dracula speaking type. And when he remade this in 2004 for TNT, he was definitely more talkative, and he had more personality. He looked human. In this film, he doesn't. He looks like a goddamn monster. And I love this version better, actually. I prefer this version over the 2004 one. I really don't care for that version. This one's my version I really like. And when he finds out he ends up renting a room in a boarding house. And people don't really remember him. He left when he was fairly young. I think he said 10 or 12 he left town, and he hadn't been back since then. But he goes to the school, this junior high school, and he visits with this one teacher that he remembers that helped him engaged him enough that he wanted to become a writer when he got to become an adult. And they hit it off. The teacher remembers him, and they go out for dinner and that. And he even says something to him about the Marsden house. Do you ever feel like a house could be so evil to attract other evil people? And he even says to Ben Mears, he goes, well, why are you so attracted to it? Because Ben Mears is not evil, at least not that we've seen in this film. And we see Straker, and people talk to him like the town sheriff and that, and he's starting to set up this shop in town. And everybody says the same thing. Why the hell would anybody want to open up an antique shop in this small town? There's not a lot of people here. And it does seem odd. It does, and you would think, why the hell would they open up one here? Because it's not a lot of people. I think they show a sign that says like there's 2,013 people in this town. So there's not a whole lot of folks in this town. And as the movie goes on, Straker keeps telling people, they keep asking about Barlow. He's, oh, he's on a business trip, but he'll be soon. Don't worry, you're gonna meet him very soon, and I think you're gonna like what you see. And he's very aloof about it, but he gives little hints. And James Mason's fantastic as Straker. And as the movie goes on, finally, these two gentlemen, well, Jeffrey Lewis is one of them, gets sent to the dock to pick up this crate that they're supposed to leave in the basement of the Marsden house. And when they do, right after they do this, strange things start happening. A little boy, a teenage boy, who's Mark's best friend, disappears on his way home from Mark's house. And they find the body, and then he ends up dying. And we get our first scene of a vampire, really, at Mark's house. He's sleeping in bed, and something starts scratching the window. It's a very creepy, effective scene, especially for a TV movie. This movie has great production value, and it's really well shot for a TV film. And there's his friend tapping the window and saying, "Let me in," and his eyes are glowing, and he's just floating there with fog all around him. It's very, very effective. And Mark says no and shows him a cross, and he goes away. And that's our first sign of there's shit about to go down in this town. And once, I'm going to fast forward through some stuff, and Ben's suspicious the whole time. And then all of a sudden, people start getting sick, really tired. Mike, Jeffrey Lewis's character, at the funeral for this young boy, before we see him outside Mark's window, he goes down, there's some that starts tapping on the inside of the coffin. Like, he's there after everybody leaves, and he starts covering it with dirt, and he starts hearing this tapping or scratching sound. So he gets down on the coffin, and he opens it up, and the kid's eyes open up, and he leans over and bites him on the neck. And Mike eventually dies and becomes back as a vampire as well. And just fast forward through some stuff, Ben figures out that these are vampires, and he gets Susan's dad to believe him. Because in the morgue, this one woman who actually is the boy's son who died, she ends up getting bit, and she dies, and she's in the morgue, and she comes back to life. And Ben kills her with his cross. He burns it onto her forehead, and she disappears. And so Susan's dad believes him now, and they're trying to prepare to go battle. Well, everybody across town starts getting sick or dying. The sheriff leaves. Ben confronts him, and he's scared. He packs up his family, goes, "I'm going to South Carolina." He gives him his gun. He goes, "Good luck," and he takes off. And basically, we get our final confrontation. Susan is taken by Stryker back to the house, or Straker, and Mark is there because he wants Barlow killed his parents. He witnessed the whole thing, and he wants to take revenge on this vampire. And Barlow's looks like he's 7 feet tall, and he looks very sharp teeth, glowing eyes, looks like a monster, like something from a nightmare. And Ben goes there with Bill, Susan's dad, and they're trying to get Susan back, and they kill... Well, Stryker kills Dr. Bill Norton, puts him on these horns that are on the wall, and Ben kills him with a gun. He shoots him 6 times with this revolver, and he ends up dying. And then they go into the basement where the vampires are held up. And I love this scene. They pull the coffin out. This coffin looks like it's hundreds of years old. And they open it up, and Mark is sitting on the floor, and behind him in this crawl space where they had the coffin, you can see these other vampires start crawling. They just have them blurred out, but you can see them behind him start moving towards him. And then finally he turns around and sees them, and he closes the door and locks it. And Ben drives a stake right through Barlow's heart and kills him. And then we see them in South America or Costa Rica, and they're on the run. And Susan catches up with them. She's now a vampire. And our final scene really is Ben kills her, drives a stake through her heart, and him and Mark walk off into the night because they know there's more vampires coming. And that's how the movie ends. This movie is very effective for a TV movie. It gets under... There's really creepy scenes. It's well shot. There's great set designs. The Marsden house is creepy as hell. When they go in, you can tell this is a house that's been vacant for a while. There's moss on the walls. You can tell the roof's been leaking for a while. There's bird feathers all over the floor. It's just a very creepy house. It's one of those houses where you won't want to spend the night by yourself. And the vampire, Barlow looks, I think, awesome. I prefer this version compared to the 2004 version. I know I said that earlier. But his makeup looks great. And I love the glowing eyes, the contacts they put in. They look... And even the other vampires had the same kind of contacts, and they look great. Very creepy. And there's great scenes, like there's a jail cell scene where this one guy is in jail, and the door opens and this fog rolls in, and you just see this figure coming in and just leans over him, and that's the end of the scene. But it's really well shot. It's very creepy. Tobe Hooper definitely did a great job directing it. Now, the Marsden house, they couldn't find a house that fit what they thought they needed. So in Ferndale, California, they found this house on this hill, and they basically spent $100,000 building a facade on the outside of the house to make it look like it's a bigger home. That's how they pulled that off. Stephen King actually approved of the changes to Barlow. Now, like I said, in the novel, he's more like a Dracula type. He almost looked human, but he had a personality. And Stephen King approved of what they did with him here. And again, like I said earlier, there's a shorter cut and with alternative scenes from Europe, a little bit gorier. I don't know if I've ever seen that version, but it did get a theatrical release in Europe. But yeah, Salem's Lot's one of my favorite vampire films of all time, definitely in my top 10. I love the atmosphere of it. Yes, it's a long movie. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes long, so you got to have some time to watch this film. But I would give Salem's Lot a 9 out of 10. I like it that much. It's really one of the better horror films ever put on TV as a TV miniseries. And it's actually one of my favorite Stephen King TV miniseries by far. I know a lot of people like The Stand. This is my favorite one, honestly. I love Salem's Lot. It's really well done. It's a great score. The cast is fantastic. The makeup effects on the vampires look great. And Toby Hooper directs the shit out of it. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for Salem's Lot. What are your thoughts on this TV miniseries? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back soon with another review. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.